This episode is brought to you by Peacock. The new Peacock original documentary, Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, dives deep into the beloved actor's rise to fame and his tragic death. 5 people, including Perry's personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. Explore the details of the case in this heartbreaking special, streaming now only on Peacock.
Este episodio es presentado por Honda. Descubra la nueva Honda Passport Trail Sport Todoterreno. La Passport más todoterreno que Honda haya imaginado jamás. Esta Passport cuenta con mayor altura al suelo, barras de techo en todas sus versiones y neumáticas especialmente diseñados para cualquier terreno. Además, disfruta todos tus viajes con el control de clima de 3 zonas, techo panorámico y opciones como asientos delanteros con calefacción y ventilación. Conoce más en honda.com/passport.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out, it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate Pina Colada and Thai-iced coffee-flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Love, exciting and new. Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever. It's alive.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships at Bermudan and British Registry.
Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with MyLowe's Rewards. Earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Drink it in, man.
Welcome, Kool-Aid drinkers, to the Detroit Koolaid Cast Kool-Aid Packet episode. By now, you know the drill. This is a short segment where we typically talk 1 or 2 topics for our Lions. Or maybe for our Pistons, or maybe our Red Wings. But this week, we're going to focus on the Lions. And I'm going to give you a small glass just to hold you over until the flagship show drops on Wednesday, where you'll be able to hear my boy at Derek Oakrey and myself at Chops in the D giving you the talk on the all things Lions. And today, folks, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hot take after Derek Oakrey came on here, the host of the show, and gave you some wishy-washy, I'm not going to have a take, but I'm going to talk for 25 minutes, boola about draft capital versus Myles Garrett. Well, folks, that's not what we're going to do today. Today, Chops is going to go out on a limb and tell you why I am not, repeat, not trading for Myles Garrett, and why I'm going to be shifting my focus to a corner when it comes to a trade or free agency. I know we talked about this quite extensively now, and Myles Garrett is the hot name on the market, and I'm not saying that if Brad, always open for business, Holmes, decides to make this move and pull the trigger, I wouldn't hate it, but I'm going to tell you why I think the Lions are going to make a different move and why I would make a little bit of a different move. 2 big points to this, and we're going to get into, because I said, we don't have time to mess around. I have been starting my draft research. I've been looking at the prospects. I've been looking at the names. I've been hitting the old mock simulator, getting ready for this draft. And folks, let me tell you, 39 of the top 125 prospects in the NFL draft are on the D-line. In contrast, there's only 14 of the top 125 prospects that are corners. These are 2 big positions of needs, in my opinion. Still looking to address that corner position, locking in that number 1 shutdown guy. And we know we want to have a little bit of depth there behind Hutch and Zadarius Smith. And you may say to yourself, but Choppy, Why did you pick such a crazy number? Top 125? We never hear that. It's usually top 50, top 100. Well, let me tell you something, people. The reason why I chose top 125 is because the Lions, your Detroit Lions, are going to have 3 picks in the top 125. We're going to get that 3rd round comp pick for Aaron Glenn, AG. Aaron, great, signing to become the New York Jets head coach, and the Lions get to reap the benefits of that with a compensatory pick, and that is going to fall somewhere between 105, 115, still not quite sure yet. But that means that Brad Holmes is going to be able to slap those meat hooks together, rub those hands, and go, I got 3 shots at snagging myself 1 or 2 of the top 2 D-line prospects in the first 3 rounds, people. And that's, again, assuming he doesn't make some kind of trade, because we know how he loves to make trades during the draft. Maybe he'll trade up, maybe he'll trade back and get a bunch more picks. You never know, people, because with Brad Holmes, anything is on the table. But I'm going in here and I'm looking at these numbers, I'm looking at these prospects, I'm looking at the D-line prospects, and I'm going to give you a few names to be on the lookout for in this 2025 NFL Draft for our Detroit Lions when it comes to edge. And of course, I'm not going to dive into the guys that are going to not be there at pick 28. I'm not going to talk about the ones that are right there at the top 2 from, Penn State or Tennessee. But I am going to give you 5 names that I think have interest and you might want to see wearing the Honolulu blue across from Hutch on the defensive line come 2025. And the first name that I'm going to bring out here, you may have heard it. I've seen him mocked to the Lions a few times. He's gotten a little bit of buzz in the Twitterverse, and that is Mike Green, 6'4", 240-pound edge out of Marshall. And the thing we like about Mike Green is that he's just got that explosive first step, and he's got nice bend. He's a former wrestler, so he's a tough you-know-what, and he's got a relentless motor. Hey, does that sound familiar? Do we maybe know somebody who might have a relentless motor on the other side of that line? I think we do.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all. Take Xyzal. At night.
So good, so good, so good.
Great brands, great prices. Everyone's got a reason to rack.
Because they have framed jeans.
Nike? Yes.
Just so many good brands.
Vince, Kurt Geiger London, Rag & Bone, and more are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. You never know what you'll find, but you know it's going to be so good. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Another name that I'm looking at, coming straight to you from Texas A&M, and there's 2 of these. Spoiler alert. The first one, Nick Scorton. And people, you know that I bash these names, I rip them to shreds, I can never say them right because, that's just how I do, and sometimes I like to do it on purpose just to tick the people off and get you guys going. But Nick is a 6'4", 280-pound edge rusher from, like I mentioned, Texas A&M. I think he would be actually a great fit on the defensive end there that we can rotate around with Hutch, Smith, and Josh Pascal, because again, I'm still expecting Pascal to make an impact on this team. The next name on my list, again, another boy from Texas A&M, Stewart, 6'5", 281, defensive lineman. Again, he's considered one of the freakish athletes of this draft. All right, I know that he had a little bit of slip in his college production. Some are saying that he's going to drop into the second round. I could still see him coming into the first round, maybe late first round, early second round. But man, I would love to see Stewart in the Honolulu Blue across from Hutch. Next name on my list, and folks, before we go any further here, I want to make sure that I say, we will have so much draft content for you over the next couple of weeks. We will be getting into deep dives. We'll get into Derek Oakley's going to watch him in the combine. He's going, wow, his 3-cone was this, and the guy loves football, and he said this at the podium. This is not the show for the deep dive details. For me, this is just the broad strokes during this Kool-Aid packet to give you some names of guys that I'm interested on the defensive line, and why I am not going to trade for Myles Garrett and spend some of that draft capital, because these are the guys that I'm going to be able to draft instead who could become future Pro Bowlers. Fourth name on the list, Princely, and I'm not even going to slaughter his name. Oh my gosh, Unamalene, 6'4", edge out of Ole Miss, 3-year starter, started on the interior, moved to the outside during his sophomore year. He's got an electric burst. He's got his bend, just forces tackles out of their stance early. He's got good length and just a super competitive guy. This is another one that's projected maybe second, maybe early third, that I think the Lions are really going to eye up. Of course, these shift around. Guys are going to impress at the different combines and different things as we prep for the draft here. But that's a fourth name that I am really interested in the Lions taking a look at. And I'm sure Brad, always open for business homes, is going to do his homework on these guys. The last name that I've got to round out my top 5 of defensive edges that I am looking at in the draft. And again, people, I'm looking at these names because I'm using this as my justification to not spend picks to get Myles Garrett. The last name on my list, you're probably familiar with him. You probably knew I wasn't going to go the show without bringing up somebody from Michigan. Josiah Stewart, 6'1", 245-pound edge from University of Michigan. This guy has an amazing first step, explosive. He wins the edge very consistently and did it against Big Ten talent all year long. He's got the ability to get under bigger guys, as he's only 6'1", and he just loves to use his motor. He loves to use that motor. And the other thing I love about this guy is he's got scheme versatility. So we're going to be able to shift him around, and he's going to fit our scheme if we decide to make a couple of changes on how we do that, considering that we do have a new defensive coordinator. I don't expect a ton of changes, but, there were times where our defense was a little bit suspect, and depending on the player personnel that we put out on the field, that our new defensive coordinator, Shep, is going to make some adjustments. So those are my top 5 defensive end prospects that I'm looking for at the Lions. I shouldn't say top 5. Those are 5 names that I'm looking at right now. I'm sure that will adjust, that will move. I don't think anybody would argue that Carter out of Penn State is not the number 1 edge, but I just honestly don't see that him being there at pick 28 for our Detroit Lions.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check the Jumbotron first, before attempting to eat a stack of Supreme nachos in one bite. Now you're just a meme that everyone shares on game day. Checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Since you're new to H&R Block, we'll look at your returns from the last 3 years for any money your last guy might have missed, for free.
I could get money back from last year?
You could. We'll find any mistakes.
Could have really used that 2 years ago when I dated that mistake for 5 months.
Don't leave money on the table. Switch to H&R Block and get a free Second Look review. Second Look is included at no additional cost with the purchase of tax preparation. Results vary. All tax situations are different. Fees apply if you have us file an amended return.
The wrongs we must right. The fights we must win. The future we must secure together for our nation. This is what's in front of us. This determines what's next for all of us. We are Marines. We were made for this.
The other reason why I am shifting my focus away from Myles Garrett is that I like some of these cornerbacks that are free agents, and I think that the cornerback market is very deep as we move into the free agency period here very soon. So again, I would really like to, I'll give you some names here. First, I want to give you a couple of names of corners that I like in the draft, and then we'll dive into some of these free agent names that I got rolled up here. But of course, we know those top three, Hunter, Barron, and Johnson. Man, I don't expect any one of those guys to be there when the Lions are picking at 28. And from there, I really do see a pretty significant drop in the cornerback talent based on the film that I've been watching, based on the PFF scores that I've been going, the analytics, some of the statistics. You know how I love to dive into that stuff. The next three follow-up that like I said, I feel like there's just a big drop off of is Trey Amos, Ravel, and then Darian Porter. Those are the next three up. That rounds up the top six. But again, there's just such a big gap to me between the top three and the next three in that line. So I'm not saying that the Lions won't have any interest in those guys. I'm not saying that one of them may not end up being a name that we call and we have somebody called, probably a celebrity or somebody fun that are going to be, making that pick for us there for the Detroit Lions during the 2025 NFL draft. But I want to dive into some of these free agents to wrap up the show and put a nice little bow on it and tell you why I'm not going to spend my draft capital. I'm not going to spend my cap space on Myles Garrett at probably $20-some million a year. That's if we can get him without this extension that I'm hearing that he wants. Oakley gave you all the details on the picks and what it was going to take and what he's hearing. He's in on that. So again, I'm going to have to call him out just a little bit here and see if he's going to have a retort for me on one of these Kool-Aid packets, but he wouldn't really make a bold take on whether he was going to make the deal or not. So, Oakley, I'm calling you out. I want to hear a take. Are you making that trade or are you not? Take a stand. Hashtag market. Hashtag what Oakley said. Do your thing and call it out. But I'm telling you right now that as it stands today, hashtag what Choppy says is that I will not be making a trade for Myles Garrett. That being said, let's dive into these corners on the free agent market that I think the Lions should be interested in. I think they'll have the cap space to do it. Again, I'm hearing the NFL salary cap potentially $279 million, up from $255. So of course salaries are going to bump up a little bit, but that means that's an extra $24 million that Brad Holmes is going to have to work with. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do, but let's dive into these names here as we go. The top guy on my list, and I'm probably on everybody's list, DJ Reed, 28-year-old corner from the New York Jets. All right, his market value right now is at about $14.7 million. 6 straight seasons of 70 or higher PFF overall grades. He's got great coverage scores last year. Top 30, I believe, in all qualifying corners. He excels in all the metrics. And this is just a guy that can lock it down. I think if we could put him on the other side from Terrion Arnold, Terrion's going to have some sophomore. I think he's going to have a great bounce sophomore year. He had a very fine rookie year. He was put into a tough position, especially with all those injuries. But I'm really looking for a number one guy to put on the other side. We'll mention a name of a guy who played most of the year for us in 2024. He actually makes my list. We'll dive into that more. But I really think DJ Reed would be a great guy on the other side to complement Terrion Arnold. Another name on my list, and you heard me talk about this on the flagship show a couple of weeks ago, Travarius Ward, 29-year-old corner from San Francisco. His market value is a little bit over $15 million. And you know, I think that might be kind of high because he did struggle in 2024 a bit. Posted some career lows as far as metrics go, but his overall body of work just really puts him as in that top market for me. So I know he had a dip in 2024, but man, this dude can really ball out. And I know there was some stuff going on in San Francisco. The team wasn't nearly as good as they thought they were going to be. They had some injuries. They weren't winning games after taking us out in the playoffs 2 years ago. They didn't even make the playoffs this year. So, but Travarius Ward is another one that I am very interested in the Lions. He may be the top corner taken or the biggest paid corner taken in the market. He's got the name cachet. He's got the production over years to prove it. I would love to see this guy in the Honolulu Blue.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You found your person. Now let the Knot help you with everything else. The Knot connects you to the wedding inspo, vendors, venues, and planning tools you need to make your day totally you. Having helped plan 25 million weddings, we've got your back when it comes to every little detail like RSVPs, budgets, and more. Because your wedding comes to life with the connections that matter the most. Get started at theknot.com/audio. The Knot. Let's plan your wedding together.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
The other next name on my list, name number 3. This guy, we've got to watch him in Minnesota over the last couple of years. Byron Murphy, 27-year-old. His market value right now, and I had to double check this and look again. I'm like, I know he had a small extension after his rookie deal, but man, there's predictions out there this guy might make $20 million a year. I don't know if that's really what he's going to get paid, but man, I have had a chance to watch Byron Murphy for the Vikings for a few years now, and I think this dude he's just uber aggressive, and I feel like he would be a great fit with the way that the Lions like to play. So I think Shep would like his dog mentality. I think that he would be his aggressiveness. I think he had 6 interceptions last year, which was tied for the most with corners. Byron Murphy from Minnesota, I would absolutely love to see him play for the Lions, and I think that Brad Always Open for Business Homes should pick up the phone, call his agent, and find out what it would take to get this guy locked up for the Lions. Name number 4. This is a familiar one, folks. If Oakley were here, he'd play the drop for you. I would scoff and I would cackle in the background, but the Carlton Davis, 28 years old. His market value right now is kind of tough because he did suffer that injury in week 15. He was paid $14 million last year, and I'm wondering if it might take a little bit less than that because coming off of that injury, maybe 12 or 13 million to get him to come back. But dude, you know this guy fits the culture. You know this guy is a dog. You know that we spent a 3rd round pick to trade and get him from Tampa than the last offseason, and he immediately just came in and gave us some stability at that corner spot across from Terrion. So, man, Carlton Davis, if you heard the press conference from Bad Always Open from Mrs. Holmes the other day, he talked about the Carlton as if he was still on the team. So I think that Brad wants this guy back. I'm sure that Dan freaking Campbell wants him back. And, man, wouldn't it be nice if we were able to kind of double up on this corner in the free agency? Grab the Carlton back and then maybe get one of those other 3 names that I said. That would be a heck of a splash. And then we can build the line and focus on some of our other needs in the draft. Because you know that we find those gems deep in the draft. The last name I'm going to throw out to you, this is a little bit of a dark horse. This guy falls under the category of like coming off an injury. And you know that the Lions, they like to throw these darts. They like to find a guy who's coming off an injury, so it's a little bit of an unknown. You get a little bit of a discount. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Paulson Adebo from the St. Louis, New Orleans Saints. Oh my goodness, I'm getting tongue-tied and twisted here. From the New Orleans Saints, 25 years old. Market value is a little bit tough to judge as well because, again, he's coming off that injury. But I think right now they're projecting him to $11 million. He's a young cat, only 25. He was balling out before he got hurt last year. And again, he's got that Saints connection. So you know how a lot of folks on our staff kind of have that connection to the New Orleans Saints. I'm curious to see if Brad Holmes would make a move on a little bit of a dark horse, a little bit of a name that some people aren't, jumping out and going, oh, this name is sexy. This flies out at you. This might be a little bit under the radar, but man, this guy was really balling before he got hurt. So folks, to put a nice bow on it, these are the names. I gave you some draft content with the DNs. I gave you some free agency content with the corners. All this to say, this content of why your boy at Chops in the D is going to pass on Myles Garrett. I'm going to say keep them picks, not F them picks. I want to keep them picks. I want to keep building through the draft, and I want to spend my cap space and be a little bit more aggressive on the corner market and just continue to build in the trenches in the draft and do what we do. Keep this window open. The other thing I heard Okri say on his thing, and again, I don't mean to be calling the host out on these packets because he's not here to defend himself, but I kind of am. He talked about our window only being 2 or 3 years left. Folks, we have $56 million in cap space, maybe more. We have like the 4th youngest team in the league. By the way, we won 15 games in the regular season last year. And as long as we have Brad Holmes and we have Dan freaking Campbell, I don't see our window closing at all. We're going to continue to draft. We're going to continue to bring free agents in. Detroit's a destination. People want to come here. People love the culture. But the nice thing is now we're in a position where if you don't fit our culture, we don't have to bring you in. We don't have to beg guys to come here. We are winning and we are ready to go. And we have set the table straight for, look, we can be selective and we can tell people we aren't going to pay them if we don't want to because we know people want to come here. So, folks, that is my take. I'm being bold. I'm saying no Myles Garrett coming to Detroit. I'm saying use that money on the free agents for a corner position and draft maybe 2 defensive ends with those first 3 picks this year in the 2025 NFL draft. That's what I got. Look, let's just wrap it up the only way that I know how to wrap it up. Woo! Hashtag choppy likey.
Cornbread!